out some gifts to refs this season who have worked, say, over a certain amount of games, consider giving out Refs Need Love Too coins, cards, or whistles. I know in some associations, they even give out cash bonuses. That would be nice. Maybe you just want to give out gifts to the refs that you know and love, that you work with in your area. I've just stocked up big in advance of the holiday seasons, and I can accommodate some bulk discounts and merch. It's not, completely unlimited, but I can cut big deals when I get orders for over 10 items at a time. Just shoot me an email at refseedlove2@gmail.com for details, and I'll hook you up. Hello and welcome to the Refs Need Love Too podcast, a show that gives you real, raw, and behind-the-scenes view of one of the hardest jobs on the pitch, the referee. I'm your host, David Gerson, a grassroots referee with 10 plus years of experience and over 1,200 matches under my belt. You can find me at refseedlove2.com, on Insta, TikTok, and now even on YouTube. This week, we're going to be breaking down some of my challenges with a coach and a team I reffed yesterday, an innovative approach to sensitizing parents and coaches to ridiculous behavior on the sidelines, and we're going to hit some of my favorite letters from the mailbag. Yesterday, guys, I had two matches as a center referee, the U15 and U14 Boys Academy matches. First game was great. Close battle, went 0-0 in the first half. It was a gorgeous day outside. I mean, I'm talking like when it kicked off, it was like 75 degrees, blue sky, little bit of breeze. Field was in good condition. It was fantastic. Kids were being great, played to the whistle, respected the calls, didn't hear anything from the parents, nothing. Coaches were wonderful. It was a tight game, wound up finishing 2-1 on a goal scored in second half stoppage time, like 80 plus 2, 40-minute halves, but no major issues. I worked real hard. Man, I was sprinting out there, covered over 5.2 miles on the match, had over 23 sprints, and it felt like I was on top of my game. It's great. Post-match, a parent walks up to me and told me that I was the best referee she's ever seen. I kid you not. Said that her husband wasn't able to be at this match for some reason, and so she specifically called him on the phone to tell him about me. It's so crazy. Like they were so shocked they had a great referee, like it literally was call worthy, which I think is so funny. And that felt great. Second match. Now again, I'm not expecting anything not great in the second match. Actually, so I'm at a club or at the fields that one specific club is at. I usually have no issues with the coaches, nothing. Second match, game starts really fast. Goal is scored in the first 30 seconds by the home team. It's on. I'm going to leave this thing going. Not 2 minutes later, the same home team commits a tactical foul in the middle of the field trying to break up a promising attack. So ball's played up to striker beats the center back. Center back reaches out with both hands, grabs the jersey like he's like riding a horse and he's got the reins and he pulls this kid back by the shirt until his other defenders, and they were not too far away, but could get the ball. And so breaks up the promising attack. And I award a yellow card for unsporting behavior, stopping a promising attack, the tactical foul. And the coach and the players are like, how can you show a yellow card? Coach is yelling specifically, how can you show a yellow card in the middle of the field, only 2 minutes into the game? And he continues carrying on. And as I'm writing the card, when I finish, I just calmly, hey, coach, tactical foul, very blatant pulling of the jersey. It's a yellow card offense, whether it's the second minute or the 82nd minute. And he continued. I just said, coach, you're engaging in public dissent. Stop it. And then he stopped. But I got to tell you, this team, that was their culture. It seemed on every single call that didn't go in their favor, whether it was a corner kick, whether it was an offside decision, their method of operation was to complain about the call. It was a culture on the team. After the second corner kick of the game that they disagreed with, surprise, I literally had to stop the match, held the kick, and I just told all the players, you guys need to play the game and play to the whistle, just like I said in the pregame, okay, or there will be consequence. Cut it out. That kind of cut down a little, but pretty much every time that they didn't get a foul or the foul was called against them, they would whine and complain. Maybe not full on dissent, but moaning and groaning. And it was just so fascinating. It's an offside decision. The AR's got it. They called the kid coming back from an offside position. You're not going to see that kid. But again, if you're turning and you're like coming towards me to whine about that, Like, you need to get in position, man. We're not going to change the call. Go away. 13-year-old kid, like doing this. It's so ridiculous. I'm like incredulous. So late in the first half, they got scored on. Okay, so they were up 1-0 at this point. And then it's 1-1. They got scored on. It was a scramble inside the penalty area. And I had a great view of the play. I am literally just to the left of the penalty arc, maybe even a little bit inside that. I'm not even 10 yards away from this. And I'm probably the only person on the field who has a great view of this. And the center back is shielding the ball from attacker. For some reason, the keeper didn't come out. And center back reaches out with their toe, leaning back and kicks the ball away. And there is a player behind him, and he does have his hands on him, but I didn't see like a pull or anything like that. I didn't see him like hold him and pull him down, but the center back falls back onto his butt. And as soon as that happens, the goalkeeper and the center back just throw their hands up in the air and start looking at me, yelling for a foul. And what do you know? The ball kind of pops away to an attacker, and the attacker almost mishits it and chips it towards the back post, and the ball goes in, and they scored on the play. And I got to tell you, I've tried to watch this play back in my mind a few times, and I'm like, was there a foul? Did I just miss a call? And I'm like, I don't think so. Maybe it was. But what kills me is that these two kids literally completely switched off, stopped playing to complain to the ref rather than playing to the whistle. Like, if they had just continued on and goalkeeper makes, I think could have been a very savable play, then maybe afterwards, hey, did you not see the ball? No, man, I didn't see it. But they literally stopped playing to complain to the ref when the ball is still in their penalty as opposed to playing the game. And I'm telling you, man, the kids, the coach, and the parents was like that just all game. They act like they are just victims of bad referee decisions rather than taking personal responsibility. It's so painful for me to say. So painful. Later in the match, I had a penalty called against the same team. Center back got beat, and he had his arm outstretched on their attacker who's running by him. And right before attacker's going to take the shot, I see the kid push out, like literally took his hand and pushed the kid, like through his hip and pushed the kid over. And it was, for me, a pretty clear foul. And I called a penalty. I think the defender was bigger than the kid who got pushed, and maybe he doesn't understand his strength, but it was a push, like clearly had his hand on the kid's hip and pushed him over. And it was enough to send the kid sprawling to the ground. He didn't just go down on his own. Was it a relatively light penalty? Could I have potentially let it go? Maybe. At midfield, definitely calling that in the penalty area. I know we should have a higher bar, but I literally clearly saw him put his hand on the kid's hip, and then right as he's about to kick, didn't look like he slipped, saw him push him over. At least that's what I'm seeing in my mind. But they were livid. Center back immediately comes up to me, like yelling. Other kid come over, and I'm like, whoa, back up, kids. Like, back up. And I'm like, I'm not changing my call. I'm happy to explain. And so I said, here's what I saw. And then it's a foul. It's a direct free kick, penalty kick in the penalty area. And they're like, oh, I'm like, no, you need to respect the call, get back in position. I'm not changing my call. And they walked away. Okay. So I've had a couple incidents. Now, not long after this play. So I think, I don't know, we're in the 47th or 50th minute of the game. I can't remember, but kid on this home team winds up getting a ball to the head and goes down to the ground. I stop play for head injury, and I walk over to him and I'm like, hey, are you okay? I'm like, do you feel dizzy? He's like, yeah, I feel dizzy. And he's holding his head as he's standing up, not setting. I'm like, okay. Coach, becking him onto the field. And as the coach comes over to take him, I'm like, coach, we have concussion protocol. Okay. He's got a potential head injury. Over at the center complex here, because there's numerous fields here, they have a trainer. Go get the trainer. He needs to be cleared by a medical professional before he steps back onto the pitch. Okay. Like I clearly said this to the coach, got to be cleared by a medical professional before he steps back onto the pitch. Okay. So we go on, and like in the 62nd minute, all of a sudden I see this kid sub back onto the pitch. And I say to the coach, has this kid been cleared by a medical professional? And he responds to me, I kid you not, his quote, that's not my job, that's your job. And I'm like, Whoa, no, coach. The medical professional, the trainers over there at that center building, you need to go send a kid, go send a parent, but he can't play until he's cleared by a medical professional. That's not my job. It's not in my job description. I swear that's what he said out loud. You need to stop the match. And if you want the trainer, you need to run over there and get it. He's saying that to me. I'm like, no, coach, my responsibility is these kids on the pitch who are cleared to play, and we're going to go ahead and continue playing. If this kid wants to play, he needs to be cleared by a medical professional. And he just continues to go, I said something like, my job is to keep this going. He's like, you're doing a horrible job. And I'm like, fine. So I just pulled out the yellow card. I carded the coach, not the kid, of course. My gosh, not the kid. And just went on with the match. And the kid didn't play anymore. But I'm just like, it was ridiculous. Player safety is our number one job. And I'm just shocked when a youth coach, and we've all watched the same videos, is willing to jeopardize child welfare in lieu of trying to win a game. This guy needs remedial training. He might be a good soccer coach, but number one, he's got a victim mindset, a loser mindset, where it's always the referee's fault. And he's not protecting child safety and welfare. And that's ridiculous. So don't worry. I wrote a report. I sent it to my assigner. He's definitely going to follow up on it with the league. It's just ridiculous. Today, I had a better day. So it's Sunday now. And I had a first-time referee course. So they've gone online and they're done their online courses. And then we did our in-person field training. And I have to tell you, if you have not been a mentor, I really encourage you to do it. It reminds you how little training we actually give referees before they're actually out there to referee matches. It's ridiculous. Kids, when they're U8, they're 8 years old in academies, are going to training like 3 and 4 days a week. And we do some online courses, which people are probably barely paying attention to. And then you have this in-person course where you like teach them how to hold a flag and how to do a signal for a goal kick and a corner kick and how to use signal for a foul or something of that nature, or how do you recognize offside? Barely. Hard. That's what they figure out. Honestly, I think the main thing that we teach them in this first time class is how hard it is to recognize offside, honestly. And then we do, a little bit in the classroom, talk about like how to show up to the pitch, all that kind of stuff, and make sure you call your assigner when you get out of here. And then we do just real briefly how to blow a whistle and the different mechanics for a referee. And it is so basic. It is so basic. I wish parents could go through a first-time referee class and understand that the kids that are coming out to do your U8, U10, U12 matches, like this is all they get. And practice for them is on the pitch. I got to tell you, I hope that when kids and parents, we had adults in this class, most of the people there were adults. I hope when they leave this class that they find some really nice and safe U12 recreational matches on a big field at a nice club where people are not too aggressive or something like that. And they could just AR for a while. I know that at a lot of clubs, they take these kids and they put them into U8 and U10 centers thinking, oh, that'll be a good entree into them for refereeing. Those can be some of the most aggressive, most heated, passionate matches that you could ever referee. It's ridiculous, like absolutely ridiculous how insane parents can be at those younger age groups on those small, tight fields. So I'm just, to all those young referees, sorry, you hear dogs barking in the background here. I got 3 dogs in my house. But all those young referees out there who went to that course today, and anyone who's been trained in the last couple of years, like Godspeed, man. I wish you all the best. Honestly, just stick with it. Appreciate that you're going to make mistakes and learn as you go. All good. So it was a fun day. But again, it just reminds you, man, how hard it is to be a new referee. All right. Got something really cool this week from Oregon Youth Soccer. So I'm going to read you a letter they sent to all of the parents and coaches. And then I'm going to read some highlights from a link that they included, which I thought was just absolutely amazing. This is innovative. I've not seen any other club do this. So dig in for this, right? Okay. So this is a note they sent to all parents, players, and coaches. Very good. All right. So it says, important, please read. I went back and forth on writing this email over the past few weeks and backed out each time, but can't leave it another week. We need your help at games across Oregon this weekend, and I want to tell you why. These are the notes from our disciplinary reports submitted by referees each week about the games they officiated the past weekend. I want you to see them so that we can all be on the same page going into this weekend about exactly what we're talking about when we talk about referee abuse. This is what really is happening out on our fields. The link below contains racist and offensive language, scenarios of abuse, and descriptions of real incidents that we have experienced during the first 30 days of our fall league. The descriptions are unedited, but we've removed all player, team, club descriptors to protect those arguably should not be protected. I would also remind you that everything you read in these reports happened during a game involving players between 8 and 14 years old. Feel free to read that sentence again. Kids playing soccer between 8 and 14 heard and saw this at a game in our soccer community. 90% of these incidents were perpetrated by adult coaches and parents at these games. We have had significant referee shortages in our communities all over the country. Oregon is doing better than most, but we are seeing our numbers decline each year, and it doesn't take a genius to figure out why. Many of our referees are exactly like your own kids, in so much they are starting out their careers, picking up a whistle, and earning a few dollars doing it. We know referees can always do better, as can players, as can coaches, as can spectators, as can we. How can you help? I am asking for your help with the sideline behavior first. You'll read in the report a significant number of parent issues during the games. Ask yourself, what are you cheering for? Ask yourself, how can you handle a call that appears to go against your team? Ask yourself if what you are saying from the sidelines is constructive and appropriate to convey to sometimes a minor official. Ask yourself, if that were your son or daughter being shouted at in that manner, would you be okay with it? Please help us this weekend from the sidelines. I would like all parents to commit to doing 2 things this weekend. Number 1, encourage sportsmanship for everyone on both teams. Number 2, thank the referee crew and tell them you're grateful they were there so you could have a game. If we start with those 2 small but incredibly impactful things, I think that we will be able to have a successful weekend, have more harmonious games, and keep all kids, including those with a whistle, involved with the game longer. Thank you, and let's have fun out there. It was signed Simon, and he put his phone number, and I love it. All right, so he linked, and now honestly, there were had to be 100 items. I've just picked out some of the gems from the document he shared. So these are literally direct reports. Now, I will say some of these people need a little bit of guidance in their report writing because it's a little bit more subjective, and I think they need to be very factual and talk about like moments and times and all that kind of stuff. But man, oh my. All right, ready? All right, quote. After the match, I was walking back to my car. 2 of the parents from the home team started cursing at me and saying, quote, "You didn't make any good fucking calls. You shouldn't be a referee." Period. I just responded with, "Wow, that's crazy," and smiled and continued walking. They proceeded to talk shit the whole time I walked past. I'm sorry, I should have given a disclaimer before I started this section. There is going to be some foul and abusive language. If you have children that are riding in the car with you, if you're from New York City like I am, they've probably heard it before, but other ones, you may want to maybe skip this episode. Please go ahead 4 or 5 minutes because the foul language is going to continue. I'm so sorry. All right. And I'm not laughing because it's like foul language. I'm just laughing because how ridiculous these things are. Okay. Next one. Ready? I am submitting a misconduct report for abuse by spectators/fans who called the center referee a dumb bitch and a useless piece of shit during the game. As AR1, I did not hear that from the sideline and only learned about it at the end of the game when the center told me about it. We brought this to the attention of both coaches after the game. Next one. Visiting team parents were yelling profanity numerous times at AR and center referee after calls were made that they didn't like. After a foul was called, a parent very loudly yelled, "Fuck you," at the AR and center referee. All players and coaches heard the remark as it was very loud. No action was taken. Additionally, there was a few visiting team subs that were arguing with each other and used profanity like shit and bitch. AR heard it and told them to watch their language, told center at halftime. Center said it was okay because they were not yelling at other teams. Next one. Home team coach spoke to me. Okay, I just wanted to pause for a second. I just think this is fabulous that they're putting this in writing and sharing it with everyone so that people see this is unacceptable. Your team will face discipline. Your coach will face discipline. Your parents of the team are going to face discipline if these types of things are reported about your team, okay, and your club. And I think it's important because some people don't understand. They think that this kind of behavior is actually acceptable. All right, next one. Home team coach spoke to me between games in a very strange manner, saying, quote, "I could have put you in a chokehold for that call," referring to the previous game. This comment was made in front of another coach from the previous game. I was not sure who the coach was at the time, and so I thought it may have just been a friend who was being inappropriate, but I chose not to deal with it at the time. However, it turned out that this was the coach of the next game. He continually shouted at me for the opening 5 minutes, saying, quote, "You have to be better than last game," unquote. And then again, quote, "This is not golf or tennis or soccer. Know what game you are reffing," unquote. I cautioned him 5 minutes into the game. When looking at his behavior over the course of the day, I think that it is important that someone try to redirect him before he gets into more serious trouble. Yeah, I think threatening a chokehold is a problem. Okay, next one. During the course of the game, multiple spectators were yelling at me as the only official on the field. One instance was a spectator yelling, quote, "You are a piece of shit ref," and another yelling, "You suck ref," across the field. Both were by the away team spectators. I spoke to the away team coach and asked him to assist in controlling the spectators as per Oregon Youth Soccer Association guidelines, H2.1 and H2.2. His response was, "What would you like me to do about it? I'm over here and they're over there." It's not my job. All right. I informed the coach that per OYSA rules, he is to assist with spectator abuse. His response was to yell, quote, quit yelling at the ref," from his seat as if it were a joke. And then he asked me, there, I told him, it was not a penalty anyway, unquote. He asked, "What do you want to just call it then? There's nothing I can do, and you obviously don't want to be here," he's saying throughout. I informed him that any further instances of spectator abuse would result in a yell to him and continue the game. I should have issued a yell at the time to the coach, regardless of that idea that a center ref is deserving of punishment and abuse from spectators because the coach disagreed with the call as egregious and unprofessional. But I did not, as the game was stopped enough for conversation with the coach. The players responded to this as well, and I was called puto twice. That's a Spanish slur. Twice during the game towards the end. Once by the away team, once by home team. I was unable to identify the players, and at that point in the game, it was clear the coaches and players had little regard of me. And so I did not press the issue in an effort to complete the game. I tell you, that happens a lot, especially with younger referees, even senior referees. They're just like, man, I just want to get this over with. I just want to go, right? But again, he's being called a slur. Puto, I think, sometimes is associated with calling someone gay. It's not that there's anything wrong with being homosexual. Totally cool with that. That's your thing, all good. But it is considered to be insulting and offensive language towards someone. We have to stop the game. We have to stop the game at that point. I think at this point, it's a really awful situation for the referee. I feel awful that they went through it. But again, if we're receiving abuse, especially like that, we just stop and file a report. Be like, all right, we're done. We're done. They don't deserve to have you as a referee if that's how they're going to treat you. All right, I just got a couple more here. During the game, parents were making comments in English and Spanish about calls that were made by me. Before the game started, I talked to both coaches and let them know that it was just a center referee. They have no ARs today. I'll do my best making calls, but it might be difficult. Some call out of bounds and some offside. The game was going well, but there were parents screaming at me for some calls, especially the call on the sideline by the fans. There were some disagreements on some of those calls from one side of the parents. In the second half, this complaints and screaming from parents continue and increase. I stopped the game around minute 50 and talked to both coaches about the parents' behavior and asked the home team to talk to them. First, one of the coaches from the home team didn't want to, but the other coach agreed to talk to them. I also warned the coaches, if this continues, I'm not going to restart the game until the behavior ends. Around minute 60, there was an attack by the fan side, and one of the parents started to scream and use foul language against one of the players from the home team. I heard the word, "fuck you," and a few other words. The player responded with, quote, "They will stop the game because of you," unquote, or something like that. The parent responded with something like, quote, "You are a fucking loser." Screamed it at a kid, unquote. My gosh. The scream, something to another player from the away team. There were a few other words that came from the parents watching the game that were in Spanish and English. Everything happened quick and escalated fast. At that point, I blew the whistle and went to the benches, talked to the coaches. I decided to stop the game because of the verbal abuse against 14-year-old players and a referee. 14, my gosh. First, one of the coaches from the home team wanted me to continue with the game, but the other two coaches, one from the home team and one from the away team, understood the reason to stop. They asked me if I knew who the parent or parents was using abusive language. I told them I didn't know who the parent was or from what team. After a few minutes talking, one of the coaches from the home team stated the coach from the away team said that I was a family member from his team. Oh my gosh. I told all three coaches that I was going to submit a report and the game was over. In all my years refereeing soccer games, I have never experienced this type of abuse against the players, especially 14-year-old kids. And he just says, I can be reached by email or phone. My gosh. He says, the next one here. It says, near the end of a match, I awarded a drop ball to the home team. A spectator apparently disagreeing with the decision yelled out, quote, "Are you fucking kidding me?" Unquote. I ignored this, unable to identify the spectator as I was focused on the play. Oh my gosh. I honestly, I could go on and on, with these things. I kept copying these things and I'm like amazed I have so many. I've already been going on this for 12 or 13 minutes, but I'm going to post a link to this in the show notes because I only picked out like 10% of what they included in this report. How about this one? A lot of issues in this game, was very close to sending off home team coach for dissent. And after the game, I did feel a bit unsafe walking off the field as I had a parent, a grown man, follow me to my car. And while they didn't say anything or interact with me, took a picture of my license plate. Not sure why and what they plan on using that for, but I most certainly did not feel the most safe walking off the field, and the repeated dissent by the home coach almost certainly played into the boldness of the spectators. Not sure what can be done about this, but that was not a good environment for me or my other officials. Jeez, I swear. Holy. Again, all I can do is laugh in the face of how ridiculous this is. One organization in Oregon in 1 month of games for ages 8 to 14. I would bet these are mostly recreational matches. Are you kidding me? For real. I don't think people know how many times these discipline reports get sent in around the country. I don't think people have any understanding of how absurd and inappropriate this behavior is towards referees. And they wonder why there's a shortage. My gosh. All right. Let's move on. Okay. Now we get to the mailbag. This is from a young woman. I'm going to keep her name out of this. It says, "Hey, I just recently found this page and it's been very helpful. I have played soccer my whole life very competitively, and now I'm in my 30s and I've become interested in refereeing. I went through the course last year and did 2 seasons for youth soccer ages 9 to 13, and I haven't had a mentor or anyone giving me feedback on my games, and the yelling from coaches and parents really killed my confidence." Shocker, right? Look at what we just went through, and now we've got someone who's a high-level player, played soccer her entire life, now wants to be a referee, and she's like getting killed in ages 9 to 13 games. Shocker, it's killing her confidence. She continues. "Recently, I find myself not wanting to do this anymore, even though I love the game and actually have fun with it. Any advice on gaining confidence as center ref? I actually think I could be amazing at this and even see myself doing much higher level games, but I'm struggling with my confidence. I just have full-blown anxiety every time. I could use some guidance." Here's what I wrote back to her. "The first 2 years are the hardest. At this point, you know enough to know you're doing a good job, but you haven't had enough experience to be an expert. The key is sticking with it. Recognize that atmosphere or outbursts of emotion are common at any sporting event. You are going to hear people disagree with the call and say that it's a foul or it's not a foul, or he's onside or he's offside or not offside every single game. It's a fact of life. It's not an attack on you personally. It doesn't mean that you are a bad referee. It simply means that someone who is extremely biased disagrees with a certain call. What you need to figure out now is, when do you need to take action for dissent, and when can you just let that atmosphere or noise go by? And if someone is consistently disagreeing with every call or complaining so loudly they're affecting your ability to manage the game, then you got to deal with it. I promise you, the first few times that you communicate a warning and then show cards, it will make a really big difference for you. You will feel more confident and in control of the situation, as opposed to someone who is being victimized or acting like they are being, that you're being victimized. You want to take control of the situation. I would also encourage you to step up your communication during the match with the players on the field and being really clear and confident and loud enough so that all the coaches and the spectators can hear it too. generally people just want to know what's going on. I wish you the best of luck and let me know if I can help you in any way. So again, all the love to everyone who's starting out there, man. Those first 2 years are tough. Stick with it. I'm telling you, year 3, year 4 gets so much easier. All right. A couple more mailbag letters and then we're going to wrap this puppy up. Another one here. I love this former player. He writes, former player, more actively a coach and more of a former ref harasser. Oh my gosh. Love the transparency. He writes, I just got certified at the grassroots level as a ref and it's changed how I act and the standard I hold my sideline to. I'm telling you, man, every coach, every player should be a referee at some point in time. We would have such a massively different culture around the sport if everyone did. It'd be crazy. All right, next one. Mailbag from James. I love this. Another quote unquote middle-aged ref. I'm 44 and in my first year as a referee. I'm going to stop right there. Again, can we just remind everyone out there that just because you see a quote unquote adult on the field doesn't mean they've been reffing for 20 years. It could be their first year too. So give them grace. Okay. All right. I'm going to start again. I'm 44 and in my first year as a referee. I've been doing club games for younger athletes since last spring. And this fall, I've started adding in high school games as well. This evening was my first high school boys game and it got pretty chippy quickly. As a new ref, I definitely second guessed some out of bounds calls and fouls, but also realized that the game was so much more stressful because it was the first time that players and coaches, well, in parentheses, from the losing team mostly, on parentheses, were griping and complaining the whole time. I listened to your May 3rd podcast on the way to the game and then listened to the May 9th edition afterwards, which was the perfect antidote to a tough first outing. I coach my 11-year-old daughter's team as well. And what you said about modeling behavior, especially when things aren't going your way, is so true. I have more games the next couple of days, and I'm sure my confidence will improve with experience. But thank you for your words of enthusiasm, putting in all the perspective. That's from James. And he writes also, I was sporting my Refs Need Love to whistle and scorecards, which help with morale. Oh man, love you, James. Thank you for the support, sir. Absolutely. Love you. Man, just keep going. Just keep swimming. Just keep swimming. Honestly, I feel like that is such a big part of the referee life, right? Is just keep moving forward. Be in the present. Try and take a moment to, when things are getting tough, is to make a mental note to ourselves. Okay, am I doing everything based on my training? Am I calling things from the best of my ability? Okay, great. Then let's move forward. Now, if there are outside influences, such as parents or coaches, who are creating a toxic environment and making it very difficult for me to do my job on the pitch, then we need to do something about it. We can't just let that go on because it's only going to fester and grow. Again, what we permit is what we accept. What we permit is what we accept. And a little bit of noise, a little bit of atmosphere, a little bit of emotional outbursts, totally expected, right? It's a sporting event. It's fun. It's exciting. People get disappointed when things don't go away. That's okay. That's okay. But personal attacks, okay? F-bombs directed at the referee, being directed at players on the pitch by parents, coaches being disrespectful and rude and threatening to referees, completely unacceptable. And if you don't card it and you don't document it and you don't send these people off, it will only continue to get worse and destroy the game that we love. I love being a referee. Therefore, I take action on the pitch when people are not behaving themselves appropriately, whether it's a player, whether it's a coach, whether it's a parent. I'm not going to let bad people who don't know how to behave destroy something that I love. I will not do it. And I encourage you not to let it happen. I hope you enjoyed today's pod. I'm not perfect and I never will be. That being said, players and coaches need to accept that and learn to live with it. They need to focus on what they can control and accept what they can't. Complaining and absolving responsibility from themselves will only hurt them long term. Also, the end of the season's coming up soon. And as I said earlier, man, I've stocked up on merch. You can get bulk discounts, whether it's for you personally wanting to give out some coins or some cards or some whistles to someone, or your local association wants to give out gifts or prizes or something like that, or you're doing like a monthly webinar and you want to give out like prizes for participation or something like that. Yo, give me a shout, man. If it's like for a webinar, I may even give you like a couple things free so you can advertise me on your webinars. That might drive sales or get more followers, whatever, man. Reach out to me. I want to participate, and I definitely want to be a part of the conversation if you're looking at doing gifts for your local association. Again, thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate you. Please take a moment at the conclusion of the show. If you haven't rated my podcast yet on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please do so. It's huge. It makes a big difference in the visibility of the show and potentially getting sponsors as well. Guys, I love you. I'm grateful for you. I appreciate you. I wish you all the best. And I hope your next match is red card free.